Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your boy Ryan Morgan, dropping in with another episode of the Recovery Objects podcast. On this podcast, I like to discuss certain topics focused on recovery. Some language or content might be violent in nature. I might say some things that you might not agree with, and that's okay. I will always come forth with non-judgment and integrity. I will always bring an authentic opinion. As a man in long-term recovery, I am dedicated to the process, and it's not my place to work anyone else's program than my own. I hope you understand this is not just a statewide issue. This is a worldwide issue. If we all can work together to fight these battles, we have enough energy to move mountains. I hope you enjoy the show as much as I did.
Yeah! Let's go, boy!
Hey guys, one of my favorite topics to discuss, just because I'm somebody that's lacked so much of this, taken so much of it back here in the last few years. Confidence. Boom. Nice if you have it. You hate it if you don't. I was a person that was never confident in any of my decisions. I second guessed everything that I ever did. I grew up super unconfident, influenced by others. It's just what I knew. Being confident is not about having a superiority complex. It's just about having confidence with clarity. You must be clear with why you're being confident or why you're being confident in that moment. Clarity is the way you see things as they are. The more clear things are, the more clarity you have. The more clarity you have, the more clear things are. Knowledge does not have to be there in every situation. Knowledge means well. It means very well. But knowledge means work as well. If things aren't going your way or the way you need them to go right at that moment, your life's going to be in disarray. Knowing more means you're going to be thinking more. Knowing more brings more thoughts on. Knowledge is your answers to all the questions that you have in the world. And knowledge is very beneficial. It's beneficial in the material world. People that think that they have more knowledge than you or are smarter than you because they have more knowledge. But that's not true. Wisdom is much different in the sense that you have to hold clarity in what you are feeling and thinking, meaning some things are okay to be left alone. They're okay to be forgotten about. You can't go around just causing panic and chaos in someone else's life and then expect them to act accordingly around you. It's not going to happen. Disrespect, being dishonorable, a lot of those things are hard to overcome. Think about when you were 10 years old though. Everything was so for sure to you. Shoot, my 5-year-old, who's had to grow up a lot quicker than most, I've taught her this lesson super early though, and just for this very reason. She thinks she knows everything, literally everything. Even things that she's never even read, even heard about, she thinks she knows what she's talking about. She will literally pick up a book and read that thing from front to back without even knowing how to read. And I never tell her, well, you don't know how to read. Well, you don't know how to read. I always just say, we'll get there. You're gonna get there one day. Kid's further along than I could ever even imagine. When you become a closed off or conceited person, things tend to always be about you and what benefit you will receive from it. When you walk around with your chest out and nose up, you're not approachable. Nobody is going to want to be around you. Nobody's going to want to contact you. Nobody's going to want to have you around. If they do invite you, it's going to be out of habit or because they have to. It doesn't mean that they like you. Empathy is an amazing lesson to learn. It's an amazing lesson to learn early on. How to feel what another person is feeling based off many factors, including body language, posture, tone. Empathy is also a very hard lesson, though, for some people to learn. Some are likely incapable of this such behavior forever. Empathy was a hard one for me to even swallow and to even dive into. I didn't even know what empathy was probably 3 years ago. Think about it if everybody wore the same outfits. I'm a big streetwear person. I love my clothes. Eliminating that attachment is one of the biggest struggles that I have. Eliminating the attachment to think about everyone is looking at what I'm wearing, if what I'm wearing is new, in style, fashionable. The struggle's real sometimes. What are they thinking? What are they gonna say? My hair, oh my God, my hair. I still to this day, I love my barber. That's one of my self-care pieces that I brought back after my addiction to take care of myself. I was a dude that went and got manicures and pedicures, man. I love taking care of my fingers and shit. And I think it's good that as a dude, you are taking care of yourself. I think it's very important. That shows how much you respect yourself. And then in return, your lady's gonna respect you back. Trust me, when you're coming to her with some funky toes or some funky nails, it's not attractive. This shit though is real in all of us, unfortunately. But fortunately for some, they can figure a way out. If I wouldn't have had the allotted time to work on myself that I did, it would have turned out a lot different. You need to find you a village, home group, virtual community, whatever it is that you like to make your recovery a priority in your life. To be able to put your recovery first, be able to put yourself first, and be able to get it done. If you can train your brain to shut off that thought process, it's a lot easier. Try to imagine that you're alone, walking through a hallway with no lights. How would you feel? Think about how you would feel walking through that hallway. Dark. Obviously, if you knew it was an empty hallway. When I flip the lights on, are you gonna feel exactly the same way if it's full of people? I walk down Main Street, I'm sure like most of us now with headphones in, but I like to get into my shit. I like to get into my music, and I like to get down from time to time. Do a little dance here and there, a little shimmy. I like to sing a lot. I did used to sing back in the day and play music, so I do have a little musician side, but that went away during my addiction. I haven't picked up a guitar since. Recovery Objects is actually tattooed on my arm. Recovery Objects was the name of my first CD that I ever recorded. I just recorded by myself. Pretty much exactly what I'm doing right this second. I love doing it. It was one thing that I lost in my addiction that I know I'll gain back one day. I want to be able to share that with other people. I want to be able to share that blessing with other people. I'm not a guy that has great confidence. I have amazing clarity in my confidence. If you're too confident, you're going to just plunder through life. If I'm right all the time, this is confidence. This is where confidence is different than clarity. You don't always have to be right. Our education system is not teaching us clarity. They want you to just have the knowledge of an idiot. I can say and do whatever it is I want to, and in fact, the matter is, we have so many options in how we receive our information these days. And Google knows a hell of a lot more. Your phone is smarter than you. Our country is filled with so many people who have mass amounts of knowledge, and they choose not to share it. Why? We all know why. We all know why they don't share it, but greed's for another day. Once artificial intelligence, AI, starts to run rampant, people with mass amounts of knowledge will no longer be necessary. And I'm not making this shit up. By the time that you are replaced by a machine to do a normal, everyday human function, that just calls for you to be able to be confident and clear with your confidence. It's no longer just about you anymore. It's about everyone as a whole. And if we continue to operate the way things have been going, I'll believe the analytics and the AI all day, every day. After some time and strict practice, you can accomplish this with patience. Don't be in a rush to make decisions that are not necessary. Pay more attention to you and those around you. You are worth the time and energy that it takes to continuously live in abundance. It was never intended to be easy. When I first started walking, it was during the wintertime. I would get out there and put my jacket on, get all souped up. You gotta understand, this is like 400 plus. I would get out there and take the dog. Poor dog, she had to come with me either way. She was so skinny and small, but she had to come with me either way, and she roughed it. She roughed it, of course. I knew that if I didn't do it one day, we'd have feet of snow on the ground. I remember walking in blizzards. I remember walking constantly, because I wanted to shed this weight so bad. I would get all dressed up, get all in my layers, go out there, put on my headphones, and go to town. I'd feel so good about it that I woke up early that day, that I got my walk in early, got my mindset in check. It was something that I had to be patient with, because I knew it wasn't going to be instant gratification like the drugs were. I knew it wasn't going to be anxiety relief like the pills were. You don't have to be in a rush to make decisions that are not necessary. People always say you need to look inside yourself. Don't look up, look inside. But if you're going to look inside, the key to looking inside is knowing the contrast. You must understand what it is inside and what it is outside. If you can't understand the difference in contrast, then you will always look elsewhere. If you can't understand what you have inside you, what you're made of as a person, and what you're like on the outside, and have that ability to be able to take a look outside yourself, what you actually accumulate in life does not define you. It's not inside you. What is inside you is literally what's inside you. Your operating components that are necessary to survive. Your brain is making millions of transactions, and your cells are shifting, changing, healing as I'm speaking right this second. Millions of operations going on naturally in your body. If we don't disturb our bodies and we invite things in that don't belong there or are not valued to us in any way, we stay on course. Different people make different choices depending on those around them and the impact it will have on us as individuals. We are each so freaking unique that we have so many characteristics that differ from each other. I remember growing up as a kid, moving from Grand Junction to Parker. I came to Parker, Colorado. I didn't know what a BMW was or Mercedes was. I didn't know what any of that was at that time. But I didn't know how to separate myself from everybody else either. Clothing was a big thing for me, making sure that I always had the freshest fit, the freshest gear, always had to have the nicest shit. That did translate into my adult life. I didn't have my first pair of Jordans until I was 30 years old. And that's just because my parents would never have bought those for me, and I would have never have bought them for myself. In my drug days, I can't even tell you what I wore. I can't even tell you what clothes I was wearing, what wardrobe, where it came from, who got it from. I can't even tell you. As long as I was wearing something to leave the house, then I was acceptable in my eyes. The things that we do know about ourselves, we do know that we have a body. We do believe that we have a mind. But all these things are still belief. So something that we've yet to fully experience. That's how it is a lot of times with religion. It's hard because people say we've yet to fully experience what religion brings them. I think a lot of people are searching for something different, and a lot of people are searching for what they want in life. They're the only ones that are going to be able to tell themselves. They're the only ones that are going to be able to bring themselves to it. Be able to have some clarity into what they believe and what they truly believe to their core. We can't talk about something that we've never experienced. The fact that your brain, though, can even dream about it or envision it is a huge step. Do you believe everything that you've been told as a kid in your present day? I know that there's a lot of things that I brought with me that I did, and that I probably still do to this day. Old habits, old beliefs, old things that you need to slowly and in time be able to shed. You have to release any attachment to things that don't matter. At night, when your brain's racing, you have to understand that your house is not physically you. Your cars are not physically you. You at this moment when your mind's racing at night, thinking about useless tasks that could be thought up or brought up at a convenient time for everybody involved. Even your thoughts and your emotions will never define you. Try to keep everything away from your brain at night. Try to breathe in sync. I've noticed that doing binaural beats helped me. I put on these beats on YouTube every night, put them on loud. Even the kid sleeps with me sometimes with it. I've noticed it definitely giving me a little bit more clarity in the mornings, or giving me a little bit more drive. I do wake up early, get my yoga in, get the kid off to school, get my walks in. I've now taken up a little Pilates and doing a little more core workout. I also have the time at this moment. I've also created the time and made the time to be able to get this in. It's a decision that I think a lot of people would disagree with, could never see themselves doing, and that's fine because that's them. I've worked really hard to overcome, to be able to share with other people. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you all listening. Please take the time to love one another, treat each other kindly. Make sure to check out www.recoveryobjects.com for coaching today. Thanks so much for joining the show, guys. Please go to cleancause.com. Use promo code CC Ryan Morgan. Over 9 flavors of organic, sparkling yerba mate with low or zero calories, 160 milligrams of natural caffeine, and 50% of profits support individuals in recovery from alcohol and drug addiction.